in. Hey, Nicole.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Take a seat. How was your day?
Oh, it's going pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a pretty gross lunch.
Really? Where'd you go?
Some place called Roadside Willie's.
It wasn't very good.
No, it was disgusting.
That's not very good.
No.
What'd you get?
Fish and chips. It was super greasy. The fries were really good though. I'd recommend just going to get fries.
Just the fries. I'll have to go for the fries someday.
That's right.
So we're here to talk about the assignment images.
Yep.
What did you think of images?
I thought that it was honestly pretty frustrating. There was a lot of things that you couldn't see within the video, so as I was doing each one, I liked how everybody was different, but what I didn't like is that you didn't know what the questions were that were being asked. So I just got their response, but I don't know what it was that I said to get that kind of response.
Yeah, that would make it difficult.
Yeah.
Watching any of these or all of these videos, was there any videos that you felt a connection with?
There was a couple, but one that really struck me was the one with Kara and Ewan in it. Just the way that it worked. I kind of watched it over and over again to kind of get what was coming, and I found it difficult at first because there was two of them. So I didn't know who I should be watching and who I shouldn't be watching, and if I watched Kara, Ewan was doing something, and then it was just kind of like a battle as to who to watch. But then I found that I really struggled with that one a little bit.
Do you think you almost were like drawn to this one because of that there was the brother and the sister? Or what do you think?
Yes and no. So I was thinking within this one a lot about the field. So as soon as Kara started talking about how the mother's boyfriend abused her, my CYC lens kind of really kicked in, other than just observing the videos and seeing, like, trying to listen for what I hear and see. I kind of thought that if I was in this kind of situation, I'd be like, what the heck? I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do. And then as the video kind of went on and I kept rewatching it, it seemed as if Kara would do something and then Owen or Ewan would debate it, but then there was like things on his face that showed that he too was having those feelings but didn't want to say it.
I know you just most of that answer was talking about Kara. Do you feel that you almost had like a deeper connection with her than you did Ewan, or is it the opposite?
I feel like it's the opposite, just because of some of the things that's happened within my life. I think I really connected with Ewan in the sense that he was really silent about what was happening within everything, and that he still wanted to go and didn't want to admit things that were happening to him. And then on like another level, Kara was able to word these opinions where it's something that I was never able to do.
So you would stay more silent, like Ewan?
Yeah.
Why do you think this is?
I think it's mostly because things that have happened with my own life, I keep them really private and personal. I'm really scared to tell people these things. So, and I just go with it. So there's an instance where something happened with my boyfriend's friend, and I keep it all to myself, and I don't tell anybody. I've never voiced it before. But yet I still go and hang out with them and still be there in support of my boyfriend, and I'm still really close with him as well. Like, we're still friends, but it's still something that plays in the back of my mind all the time. So I never really say it. So that's where I kind of see where Ewan is, because he still wants to go, he still has fun, but then there's still the underlying things that happen where Kara just kind of says it and is very vocal about how she doesn't want to go and doesn't want to do those things.
Do you feel that staying silent is a good way to go, or do you think that maybe Kara had the right idea?
Mm, in perspective of the video, I feel like Ewan was a little bit jealous of Kara because he wanted to say it, and then Ewan would like look at her, and then you could tell the look on his face that something was wrong because he tried to play it off as if nothing was happening, but then looking at Ewan especially, the look on his face was very dead set. Like as soon as Karis kept talking about it, the more his face was like, yes, something was happening, but he was trying to defend like there wasn't. So I feel like Ewan was really jealous and that he wanted to say something but couldn't.
Did you have any feelings that jumped out at you while watching this?
I had a little bit of awkwardness because I feel like in those situations I wouldn't know what to do. When it was presented, it just said that you weren't the social worker, you were just tagging along. So within the video, I didn't know who I was in perspective to the video. So I was really awkward because I wouldn't. Kara saying all these things and then Ewan's debating them, but then you could tell that there was something going on, and you just couldn't. I wouldn't know what to do. And then when I thought about it in perspective of who I was going to be as a child and youth care worker, I was like, trying to think then, like, what would I do? And I still think that I would just be as awkward if it was a real life situation.
Do you think you would have said anything, or would you just have kind of sat back and felt awkward?
I think I probably would have sat back and felt awkward, because, like I said, I didn't know what I said back to them to keep the conversation going, but they were battling it out between themselves quite a bit. So I feel like with me just sitting back, it would allow me to learn more about it because they kept battling back and forth, and Kara kept bringing things up, and Owen kept bringing things up. So I feel like if I sat back, then it would play out itself, and then I could talk to like the social worker when she came back and figure something out.
So you would talk. You think you would talk to the social worker about it?
Yeah, because it's something like Kara was reporting that the mom's boyfriend was abusing her. So I feel like it's not something that you can take lightly, especially since the social worker was taking them back home. I feel like the allegations were very true just by looking at Ewan's face. Kara just seemed really defiant, and at the beginning I was like, oh, Kara must just be really, like, she didn't want to go back home, so she's trying to make something up as to why she can't go home. But then the more that she spoke and the more that she said, the more Ewan's face was making recognition to it, and it kind of putting truth to what she was saying. So.
Makes sense. Earlier you did mention something about your boyfriend's friend. Do you feel that this video may have triggered you in any way?
I think it kind of brought me to a sense of, I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I think it brought me to a sense of wondering about my silence of Ewan, or if I should be like Kara, and it kind of made me think about it, but then as soon as I thought about it, it kind of went away when Kara really started talking about like abuse, because then I began thinking of myself as a child and youth care worker instead of myself as on a personal level. If that makes sense.
Yeah, a little. Did you find watching this video or any of the videos an eye-opening experience?
I think some of them did, yes, because there was a lot of cases where I knew that we could be walking into these situations, but I didn't think that we could be walking into these situations. There was a lot of the times where I feel like I would be really awkward in this position that I was in, and not knowing what I was walking into. I feel like a lot of the videos, I tried to link it to child and youth care but couldn't, where a lot of it was office experiences and things like that. When I know that this is something that would happen within an office situation, but it was interesting to see where I could go with what was happening.
So you talk about like office situations. Do you even think that some of these experiences could happen in like a residential, like, because you have your staff offices? Do you think anything could happen like that in there?
I think so. I think there's always room for conflict within wherever you are. So I feel like that it could really be that you have an argument with a coworker or someone's blaming you for something that you didn't do, logs not being done or things like that. So it's you can relate it that way. Yes, I can see where you're coming from.
Going back to the video of Kara and Ewan, do you think that if you were in that situation, you would have been able to use any of the skills that we learned in class?
I think so. I think there would be a lot of times where I could use like my solar and my active listening because it's something that could be very tricky to talk about for Kara. So if I used my solar or my active listening, then just being able to be present with them within that. I think silence would be another really good one, and even probes or things like that. Like I know we can't be investigative, but there's ways that you can ask questions without being investigative. Even if I targeted Ewan more, where he didn't say it and make those allegations, he could be the one that I would talk to instead of Kara.
Makes sense. So how do you feel talking about this?
I think talking about Kara and Ewan in a whole, I'm fairly comfortable in my awkwardness. But then in other parts, like it's a little bit uncomfortable to talk about.
Why do you think it's uncomfortable to talk about?
Because I've never talked about it before. Like, you would be the first person that I would ever open up and say that anything ever happened to me with Ben's friends. So that's where the uncomfortableness comes from.
Okay. So you said you're comfortable in the awkwardness.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
So, like I said before, I was really awkward when Kara started talking about it because I've never been in a situation like that before where someone had confessed those kind of things to me. And I feel like I wouldn't know what to say to me. But I'm really comfortable in knowing that I wouldn't know what to say, and that I could use it as a move forward tool as to figure out where my learning needs to go next.
You say you wouldn't know what to say in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that maybe you would be able to use like a little bit of self-disclosure or anything like that? Or would you?
I feel like in that kind of situation I wouldn't, because of where Ewan was really awkward about it and didn't want to say anything. I wouldn't want to put my perception of self and like what I've gone through in different instances it up for that where Ewan was so uncomfortable and didn't want it to be said. I feel like if it was just Kara and Kara was being really defiant about saying things and being in that moment and disclosing, I might to her, but not with her brother there, I don't think.
So thinking back to Jeff's class interventions,
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of the list of interventions that he gave, do you think that there's any of those that you would do specifically with Kara at that moment?
I'm not sure if I would use any interventions because it's not like she's producing a behavior that I want to stop or change. So I'm not sure that I would use interventions.
I was thinking mainly like the life space interview where you had just said like you would say some of these things to Kara, but not when Ewan was there. So maybe if you even used the life space interview to get Kara away so that you could kind of have a little bit of a conversation with her.
That would make sense. Or even use that in a sense where I could talk to Ewan, get Kara away, and just speak with him. That would be interesting. I never thought of it in that perspective.
So if this was a real situation, do you think that you might have some sort of trauma or anything from it?
I think if it was my first instance of coming into something like this, I feel like it would play on me quite a bit. Um, and I wouldn't. I feel like the next time that it happened, I'd be able to grow from it and be able to learn more. But I feel like in the moment, I would really be awkward and nervous and not know what to do or say. Um, and yeah, I think so.
So you said you think like if this was to happen the first time that you'd be awkward, but if it was to happen, or you would be traumatized, but if it was to happen again, you wouldn't be.
Yeah, I think like there would definitely be like a trigger moment for me where I would come back to Kara and Ewan if it was like a real life instance, and think of what I did there, what I could grow from, and things like that. But I feel like the more that it happened and the more that I would have myself in that situation, I would be more comfortable.
Makes sense. If this was a real life situation, and thinking back to everything in ethics and all of that, what are the steps you think you would need to follow?
I know that I would, as soon as the social worker came back, I think I would have a conversation with her, and say what Kara and Ewan, or Kara verbally disclosed and the nonverbals that Ewan disclosed. And then I would work with the social worker to fill out a Form 1 and things like that. And try and work with the social worker to maybe not take them both back to the mom straight away and kind of like put an investigation forward within the boyfriend.
You said you would mention talking to the social worker. Would you do that in front of Kara and Ewan?
I don't think so, where Ewan was really awkward and it didn't seem like he was very confident and things like that. I don't think I would say the things in front of them just because Ewan wanted to go back and wanted to see his mom really badly. To have that conversation in front of them would probably put him in a worse state, I feel. So
Do you think it would be appropriate to send Ewan back to the moms and not Kara?
I don't think so, because when Kara was talking about being hit and then other things that she was saying, you could tell Ewan's whole face was dropping as if to agree with what she was saying without really agreeing.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was happening to him as well, but he just didn't want to say it out
I
loud.
want to admit it.
Yeah.
So you think you would take them both home and then get the investigation?
Because Kara was really interested in going back to her aunts, so I feel like if that's where she has confided in being a safe place, I feel like that would be an option that I would talk to the social worker about.
And get them to go there or whatever. Awesome. Well, thanks for answering all these questions. I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable at all.
No, it's all good.
Awesome.